Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and today is the 1-year anniversary of the dumbest thing that Unity ever did, and to celebrate, they're undoing it. So this is a good news video for the most part. There's a little bit of bad news at the end, but first, a quick recap of what the heck we're talking about. On September 12th in 2023, Unity set itself on fire. They decided they wanted more money. The way they were going to get more money was by charging a runtime fee. What did the runtime fee mean? Well, basically, it was a tax. Anyone that had ever built a game ever with Unity, even games that are published 10 years ago, each time the runtime was installed, you had to pay them a small fee. The pricing was initially like this, so after $200,000, you would pay 20 cents per install. As you had more installs, you paid less per install. So yes, every time someone installed your Unity game, even if you'd created it using like Unity 4 a decade ago, you would have to pay Unity a fee. Now, this was obviously pretty ludicrous. They walked it back quite a bit about how the fee was going to work. But let's just say the developer community was not happy. They changed their terms of service to make this possible. I actually hold to the point that this probably wasn't legal in the first place, but it was a massive and stupid overreach, and they lost a lot of trust over it, and a number of customers just moved on to different game engines. You know, the Godot community actually exploded out of this. Unreal got a number of new developers. A number of alternative game engines also got exposure from this. A lot of developers were very, very pissed off that this happened. And Unity, well, Unity definitely had a lot of fallout as well. They got out of a number of businesses, including some of the ones that they bought over the previous 2 years since their IPO that probably made no sense. For example, they basically shut down Weta Digital, which they spent over $1 billion acquiring. There was a number of closures, and there were a number of layoffs at Unity. In fact, their stock also pretty much halved from the point where they implemented this runtime fee. So Unity definitely suffered for what they did. And then we had a management fallout. And this was actually something that I think a lot of people were happy to see. So there were some certain people responsible for this. The team from AppLovin was definitely looked at, and their former CEO, everyone's favorite CEO, John Riccitiello. Well, they're all gone. The AppLovin people from the board of directors, they're gone. John, no longer CEO, no longer on the board, gone. They cleaned house of the executives that were responsible for this stupid move, which, again, almost crippled the company. And they actually brought in a new CEO. And this guy actually works in games. So Matt seems like a good guy. He came from Azinga in the background. He's been there for a few months. We also had an interim CEO from Red Hat who did a lot of the layoffs, basically the hatchet man. He is now on the board, and they have a new CEO in charge of things. And he came in a few months ago, started looking at all of the, I guess you could say, mistakes they've made, the core strengths of Unity, and so on. And that leads us to today. Ladies and gentlemen, the runtime fee is dead. So they had the runtime fee. It was terrible. This was a massive overreach, probably illegal. Then they cut it back in scope, so it was more of a self-reporting, and you either paid a fixed amount and the amounts went down. It's sort of kind of at the point of, what the hell are you doing this for in the first place anyways? Well, they've come to the same conclusion. So here we are today, and this announcement should be live by the time I publish this video. So you're going to notice this is tagged as confidential, but that is only until the deadline comes. So today at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 year to the date that they made their massive mistake, they're undoing it. So I'm going to basically read this verbatim. So a message to our community. Unity is canceling the runtime fee. After deep consultation with our community, customers, and partners, we've made the decision to cancel the runtime fee for our game customers effective immediately. Non-gaming industry customers are not impacted by this modification. The runtime fee didn't apply to non-gaming applications. They were under a different licensing scheme, so if you're wondering what that means, that's what that means. Over the last 20 years, they've partnered with brilliant designers and developers, artists and engineers, publishers, and platforms to build a world where great games could be built by anyone, for anyone, for everyone, sorry. We called it democratizing game development. God, I hate the use of the word democratizing. It's so overblown these days. And it remains our core mission today. However, we can't pursue that mission in conflict with our customers. At its heart, it must be a partnership built on trust. I've been able to connect with many of you over the last 3 months. Again, this is the new CEO talking. And I've heard time and time again that you want a strong Unity and understand that price increases are a necessary part of what enables us to invest in moving gaming forward. Those increases increases needn't come in a novel and controversial new form. We want to deliver value at a fair price in the right way so that you will continue to feel comfortable building your business over the long term with Unity as your partner. We're confident that if we are good partners and deliver great software and services, we've barely scratched the surface of what we can do together. So we're reverting to our existing seat-based subscription model for all gaming customers, including those who adopt Unity 6. So the runtime fee was only going to be for Unity 6 and beyond. That is now, it's just not going to be at all. The most performant and stable version of yet later this year. So here's what you can expect. Unity Personal, so they actually did a couple of announcements to sweeten the pot when they did this, and if you were using the personal version, the free version, you actually got a lot of new perks. Those are standing here. So as announced last year, Unity Personal will remain free, and then they're going to double the revenue and funding ceiling from 100 to 200,000 USD. That means you can make $200,000 before you have to basically buy a license. This means more of you can use Unity at no cost. The Made with Unity splash screen will become optional for Unity Personal games made with Unity 6 when it launches later this year. So they removed the splash screen requirement, which is excellent, and they doubled the amount of revenue that you can make. So for personal users, it is a straight out chef's kiss improvement. Now, I don't know if they're keeping the login requirement. I know that was a little bit of a controversial thing. It's not addressed here. So that was one of the only negative changes that came to personal, and there's nothing about it here. So I don't know if that is staying. Unity Pro and Enterprising, so they're modifying the pricing and the qualifying annual revenue thresholds effective January 1st, 2025. The changes will apply to all new and existing Unity Pro and Enterprise customers when you purchase, upgrade, or renew a subscription on or after that date. So any renewals or new subscriptions after January 1st are going to have new pricing applied. Those pricing scenarios are Unity Pro, an 8% subscription price increase to $2,200 USD annually per seat will apply to Unity Pro. Unity Pro will be required for customers with more than $200,000 total revenue or funding. And funding, I guess, those cumulative. And then Unity Enterprise, a 25% subscription price increase will apply to Unity Enterprise. Unity Enterprise will be required for customers with more than 25 million USD of total annual revenue and funding. A minimum subscription requirement may also apply because this set of our largest customers have unique needs, and many of our products and services will be contacting everybody in the days ahead to discuss customized package. So basically, they're trying to capture the unicorns. That's kind of what they were trying to do with the runtime fee. They just really screwed it up. So if you're a super success like Genshin Impact, who've made probably over $1 billion, having used Unity, you're seeing a pretty substantial per seat license increase. But truth of the matter is, if you're in this 25 million or over total revenue area, you probably have a custom negotiated license, which I believe is what Genshin Impact actually has. They have a fork of Unity that is their own, that they licensed out and determined themselves. And I think that's what you're ultimately going to see with most of the enterprise type users. So that's it. Per seat pricing, 8% for the majority of people that are paying for Unity right now. With all the cost of living costs have gone up, everything increasing, I think this is reasonable. It's one of those things they wanted to avoid. And if they'd just done this a year ago, nobody would have given a damn. You know, you would have had a couple of murmurs, and that was about the extent of it. All right, so moving on. From this point forward, it is our intention to revert to a more traditional cycle of considering any potential price increases only on an annual basis. Our commitment remains that if we change the editor software terms in any way that impact you, you may continue using your current version of the software under the previous agreements as long as you keep using that version. So this is one of the things they got to. They went to implement the runtime fee. They retroactively changed a number of things in their EULA. Now they have a perpetual EULA, so they shouldn't be able to move and pull that crap ever again. Again, the original runtime fee was trying to actually get money out of people that used way earlier versions of Unity. I don't think it was legal. I don't think it would have held up in court, but that was where they went. So now what they're saying is there's basically a perpetual EULA that is tied to the version that you chose. Same approach that Unreal Engine uses. But we updated this commitment last year on our GitHub repository and at unity.com legal. You can read more about the details of our 2025 pricing changes there. Canceling the runtime fee for games and instituting these pricing changes will allow us to continue investing to improve game development for everybody while also being better partners. Thank you for your trust and continued support. We look forward to many more years of making great games together. Signed, Matt. So their new CEO does seem to, understand. He got dealt a really crappy card. But you got a question right now. The runtime fee is gone. We got a more traditional just price increase, annual type price increases like we've seen in historical times. I just think if they'd just done this a year ago, Unity would have way more market share, would have way more trust. Everything would have just worked out better. But I guess we followed this one under better late than never. So runtime fee is gone. The personal tier is just upgraded for the most part. There may still be that login requirement. I'm not 100% certain. I will clarify that one. And yeah, that's the change we've got. So what do you think? I know there's a lot of trust lost because of what they've done. And I know they're trying to make changes here, but they've changed these things in the past. So obviously there is a trust issue going forward. But how do you feel? If you're a Unity user, are you going to continue to use Unity? I wouldn't imagine you'd leave over this because this is pretty much mostly good news, unless you happen to be in that 25 million USD total revenue area, in which case, there's definitely some considerations there. But you're also making some pretty good money at that point. So I imagine you're pretty happy there. But if you left Unity or were considering Unity, now that the runtime fee is gone and we have this commitment and we have a new leadership team, is that enough for you to come back, to bring the trust back? Or are you in new pastures and that is where you're going to stay? Let me know. Comments down below. So some pretty major news on the 1-year anniversary of the Unity Bonfire. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.